In today's show, the Trail Blazers come out of the All-Star break and lose to LeBron James and the Lakers in a game that, boy, did a lot of stuff go wrong in the final 3 minutes. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trail Blazers, your daily Portland Trail Blazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trail Blazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen and tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're going to talk about the Blazers' 110-102 loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. The first game out of the All-Star break for your Blazers. They lose to the 40-year-old LeBron James, who dropped 40 on him the second night of a back-to-back. Get into all of that game, do our fastest recap in the West, focus on the final 3 minutes of this one because, jeez Louise, boy, did a lot of stuff just go haywire in the final 3 minutes. Pretty much all bad for the Fighting Pinwheels over those final 180 seconds. We'll get into all of that happened. There was some good stuff. Denny played well. Tumani played pretty darn well too. That might be the end of the good stuff. We'll talk about that as well. And then briefly, I want to look ahead to the Blazers' next handful of games. The last truly soft stretch of their schedule looms, and it could inform where they are or where we should think they might be, I guess, is what it might inform our perception of them. We will do that to close the show. First, though, let's do fastest recap in the West. Blazers lose 110-102, and boy, was this ugly early. My gracious. Teams combined to start the game 0 of 10 from the floor. The Blazers scored a season-low 15 points in the first quarter and trailed 28-15 after one. They were down as many as 18 in the second quarter. This thing looked cooked. The Lakers are coming into this game second night of a back-to-back. They had a rescheduled game from due to the fires in LA earlier this year. No one was supposed to play last night, but just the Hornets and Lakers played last night. So the Lakers, this was not supposed to be a second night of a back-to-back, and it was. And because it was, Luka Doncic, who is still recovering from a long-term calf injury, did not play in this game. Also, for what it's worth, Jared Vanderbilt did not. It was sat out the second night of a back-to-back as well. Someone who's been a more regular part of the Lakers rotation since he has come back. But Luka is the big player they're missing. Austin Reeves, fresh after getting ejected last night, didn't play as much. He's back, but you're playing the Lakers, who are shorthanded, who are on the second night of a back-to-back, and you're pretty much, no DeAndre Ayton. You're obviously missing your starting center, but I would say there were times during this game when the Blazers had more talent out on the floor than the Los Angeles Lakers. And yet, they just came out so flat. The starters didn't play well. Then, they bring the bench in, and the first two times Shaedon Sharpe touches the ball, he turns it over, and it's oh, well, maybe not the bench either. And they're down 18 in the second quarter, and it feels like this is just going to be a blowout. And it's going to be one of those games where you just don't have it. And yet, the Blazers don't go away. The Lakers can't make a damn three in the first half. They go 2 of 15 from three, and the Blazers hang around, down just 8 at halftime. Down just 1 after 3, 77-78. This is going to be a ball game. Blazers, in fact, tie the game at 81 with 10 minutes and 40 seconds left. And you get a fourth quarter that's going to be decided, that is going to be, up for grabs and is going to be in contention, through the final half of the quarter. Well, I mentioned the Lakers playing some lineups with less talent on the floor. They're rolling out there with. I think he played pretty well in this game, but Trey Jamison III. There was a moment in the final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter when both Trey Jamison and Jordan Goodwin are out on the court, off the street free agent minimum guys coming out on the court. Says okay, the Lakers, who fancy themselves a title contender, close this thing down. The door was wide open for the Blazers. The door was wide open for them, even after that stinker in the first quarter. even after giving up, even after being down 18. This thing is there for the taking. Join me in the final 3 minutes of this one. The Blazers lose this game 110-102. That's your fastest recap in the West. Let's zoom in, though, on these final 3 minutes because just so much went wrong. So the Blazers are down 6. Lakers have the ball. They're just running the same kind of high pick and roll action. They're trying to get Anthony Simons in the action. They're running a screen with Austin Reeves and LeBron James. They'll run some off-ball screens if they need to. They're trying to get old number one in the action. They are trying to get a Anthony Simons switch on LeBron. They've been hunting it for 3 minutes. They hunt it again, except the Blazers do a pretty good job fighting off of it. Scoot Henderson comes and shows it to help. Anthony Simons kind of vacates the action. LeBron James drives into a crowd. Jeremy Grant gets a steal. They run out the other way. Denny Avdia throws an alley-oop to Monty Kamara. It is a 4-point game with the clock ticking under 2:44. So the Lakers can get the ball back with 2.5 minutes left, and again, a turnover. This time they double that pick and roll action with LeBron and Austin Reeves to make LeBron give it up. He gives it up to Reeves. Reeves tries to make a pass back to LeBron, rolling as the Blazers defense recovers, but they get a deflection. They run out the other way. They've got a 3-on-1 break, and Jeremy Grant runs down Austin Reeves on a 3-on-1 break. Dude, that's about as stupid a decision as you could possibly make. A bounce pass, a lob, on anything. It's a layup and a 2-point game, and Jeremy Grant does not make the read, does not make the pass, and bowls over Austin Reeves with 2:22 left, and the Lakers get the ball back. And they force another miss. Their sins, they have not paid for their sins yet. So that would have been a 2-point game. Lakers get the ball back, still a 4-point game. They run that action again. They again send a double team. They get it out of LeBron's hands back to Austin Reeves. He's going to drive, take a tough mid-range floater. It's a good defensive possession from the Blazers. We played pretty good defense on the whole all night. Not perfect, but certainly played pretty well. They force a missed mid-range little floater pull-up runner from Austin Reeves. They get the rebound. They go the other way, and Scoot Henderson drives, and LeBron James hacks the heck out of him. But they give the ball back to the Blazers. They don't call a foul, but LeBron kind of swiped down on a drive and just only hand. The only thing he contacted was hand. What are you going to do? They don't call it. There's nothing to challenge. Blazers get the ball back, and they run a play out of the baseline out of bounds that sets up a stinking wide open shot for Anthony Simons. The problem is that Anthony Simons has not and will not make a 3-pointer in this game. He is going to shoot 0 for 6 from 3, but he's wide open. This is a clean look. This is a good play. This is a good shot for one of your best shooters. Hard to complain about it. Actually, quite frankly, it's probably pretty easy to complain about it if you believe in yourself. But in any case, Anthony Simons, wide open 3 from the right wing on a catch and shoot, kick out to Denny Avdia. Denny Avdia feeds the wide open man. It's a perfect read, perfect play, great shot. You want it every time down the floor. Brick. Blazers chase down the rebound. Scoot Henderson gets it, drives, and on his drive, Austin Reeves blocks him, and they call a jump ball. So now you're going to get a jump ball with about a minute and a half left. This is still a 4-point game. The Blazers are still in this game. They win the jump ball, 90 seconds left, 4-point game, right in the balance. Ball gets tipped to the corner. Austin Reeves runs it down. During the ball gets tipped, and then there's a scramble for the loose ball, and LeBron James knocks the ball to the corner. In doing so, knocking the ball to the corner, he just absolutely flattens and runs through to Monty Kamara. Pretty clearly a foul. Sometimes in those scrum loose ball stuff they don't call it, but on the replay, he just crushed him. He just fouled the heck out of him. And not only that, the ball goes to the corner and Austin Reeves flops. I don't think Scoot Henderson, on the replay in the arena at least, I haven't watched it on TV since I've been home, but on the replay in the Jumbotron or the big screen, I think Jumbotron is a trademark term. On the big screen, Austin Reeves just flopped. He flopped and earned a foul. And they call a foul 92 feet from the rim, chasing a loose ball off the jump ball down in the corner. The Blazers had a jump ball with 90 seconds left, down 4. refs miss a call on LeBron. They call a phantom foul on Scoot Henderson, and Austin Reeves goes to the line for 2 free throws. Dang it. Now you've got, you got 90 seconds left, and now you're down 2 possessions. You're going to need score, and like you're going to need to make some threes, and this is the comeback is getting a little more challenging. The Blazers come down. Anthony Simons drives. He gets blocked. The ball goes out of bounds. They give the ball back to the Blazers first, but the Lakers challenge. Lakers get it back. So now you've got, a little over, just under a minute and a half left, and you need a stop to keep any hope alive. Down 6. They force a tough shot. Same action. Same type of action. LeBron James, Austin Reeves, high pick and roll, trying to get the matchup and the switch they want. Anthony Simons, again, vacates that switch. He's like, I'm getting out of there. They show 2, and Anthony Simons gets out to the corner to get on DFS. That's Dorian Finney-Smith. And the Lakers get a jump shot up, and Dorian Finney-Smith crashes from the far right corner where Anthony Simons was guarding him, beats Anthony Simons to the offensive rebound, put back bucket, Lakers by 8, 54 seconds left, ball game. Final 3 minutes couldn't have gone worse for him. Horrendous Jeremy Grant turnover. Just an absolutely baffling, stupid Jeremy Grant turnover. A bricked wide open Anthony Simons 3. A phantom foul on a jump ball. And then an offensive rebound put back. From a 4-point game with 2.5 left to an 8-point game with a minute left with a whole bunch of chances. A 3-on-1 fast break. A wide open 3. And Scoot Henderson a drive where he just got stuffed. Yeah. LeBron James had 40. Okay, I got more stuff to talk about from this game. I want to talk a little about LeBron. I thought Denny played really well. I want to talk about him. There was a good thing that happened. Tumani played pretty darn well too. We'll talk about that in the second segment. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, let's talk DoorDash during this NBA season. If you're a fan of professional basketball here, get ready because they swoosh. You save thanks to Dash Pass. Every time a player drops 50 or more points, you're going to score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player in the NBA scores 50 or more points during a game, during the 24-25 regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 off. 50% off an order. You could save $10 the next day from noon to midnight, but that's if you live on the East Coast. For my West Coast listeners, it actually starts at 9 a.m. our time. So if you live on the West Coast, it's all day long, 9 a.m. to 11:59 p.m., and you can get that 50% off your order up to $10. So say you're watching a game on a Tuesday and you see an epic 50-point performance. Well, call your buddies or just plan a night for yourself and get that game day feast when the games come back on Thursday. Or say you watched a game and then you just got some late night cravings after the game. Well, take advantage of that offer. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more points in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day up to $10 off. Just use the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game, or 9 a.m. to midnight if you're on the West Coast. On eligible orders at participating merchants. To get that deal, must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash.com to learn more. All right. Okay. LeBron James is really good. His best player on the floor in his 22nd season at 40 years old. He did turn the ball over 11 times. And when LeBron James turns the ball over, one thing he doesn't do is run back on defense. And I thought the Blazers took advantage of LeBron James just like turnover. Aw, dang. I'm not going anywhere. Feet glued to the floor. But he's just really good. He's still really good at his age. I would say he's probably even more annoying than he was when he was younger because he's more whiny. But like the Lakers couldn't buy a shot, right? They started 3 of 18 from 3, but LeBron hit some threes late, and they ended up going 9 of 32 on to finish it out. So after 3 of 18, they hit a whopping 5 of 14 to close the game. But LeBron, he had 4 of their 9 made threes. He finished with 40 points, 8 boards, 4 assists to go with those 11 turnovers. 11 turnovers is a lot, and LeBron, it felt like 11 turnovers for a lot. He was sloppy, and I thought, for the most part, they put Jeremy Grant on him, but Tumani got some chances. Denny got some chances. They sent helpers to show him bodies with Tumani and Denny and clog the paint. Yeah, like I thought LeBron was the best player on the floor and kind of made plays when his team needed him to make plays. But I don't think he like got everything he ever wanted against the Blazers. They were okay against him. He was really good. Austin Reeves had 32. They combined for 72 points of the Lakers 110. Yeah, no one else in the Lakers really mattered. It was those two guys and their two-man game and their ability to score and Austin Reeves' ability to just flop and draw fouls, and that was the problem. The Blazers lost this game in large part because they gave up 11 offensive rebounds and they missed 7 free throws. That's kind of it. I really think like the Lakers were shooting bricks. And they were turning the ball over 24 times. The Blazers had 7 fewer turnovers, but like you give up those 11 offensive rebounds, including a crucial one in the final minute, and you miss 7 free throws in a game that was a 4-point game with a minute left, or a 4-point game with 2 minutes left, and you've got the ball in your hands. They just left a lot of points on available for them. There's just a lot of points just like left, not even like on the counter, on the table, on the cutting board, like on the rim. They just bricked free throws. Every time it's bricked free throws. Jeremy Grant bricked free throws. Jeremy Grant was horrendous. I'll talk about him in a second. But like every time it's 2 of 5 on the free throw line and missed a technical free throw. It's a good free throw shooter. It's tough. Let's talk positives before I talk into some more negatives, because I think this game is kind of frustrating in the way it played out. Deni Avdija was really good. He had 16 of his team-high 28 points in the third quarter, where the Blazers came back from down 8 and made a 1-point game heading into the fourth. Deni was a menace in transition. He was really good getting to the rim. He knows what he does, right? Like Deni is what I like about Deni is he don't play around. He's just like, I drive hard right hand. Give me a hard right-hand drive, I am going to take it every time. And when the Lakers did that in the first half, he had a couple times where he just part of the Red Sea's easy dunk. But he pushed in transition. He got himself to the free throw line because he was aggressive. I thought he was really good. And the way Deni is, like I like this about him. He gets rolling. He's 6 of 7 and hits 2 threes in the third quarter, but he doesn't force those threes, right? He gets he gets his rhythm by being aggressive, and then he's like, okay, I got a rhythm. I'm feeling good. Then he takes threes when they go under, when they're trying to stop drives, when they're preventing him from getting into the paint and getting to his right hand and being so, and like just he's like, I'm just deliberate and do what I do. You better try to stop me. And if you don't stop me, if you don't give it like a legitimate, if you don't show a legitimate wall, legitimate bodies, I'm going to get to the rim. And if you do, sag off and say, we're not going to let this happen. He's comfortable shooting those threes, and I thought he was smart about taking them. One off the dribble, another catch and shoot in that third quarter. But he was really good. 16 of his 28 in that third. He only took 2 shots in the fourth quarter, didn't get to the free throw line. A couple of those came late in the quarter. Obviously, he's going to sit a little bit to begin the quarter, so like some of it's just on the bench. But like, I think the final 3 minutes that I highlighted were a little chaotic, such that it wasn't like, okay, get Deni going, right? They were trying to, it was, a fast break turnover. They had, he had one fast break through a oop and another fast break turnover. And then you're like scrambling off of a jump ball and trying to drive quickly. And like, I understand that it's like, he can't have, you're not going to run a set play for Deni every time, but you probably want to get him a touch there, at minimum 1. I'm not saying he needs to touch the ball every time down the court in those situations, but minimum 1, I think you want him to get on the ball again. I think you want more Deni in that situation. And they didn't get to it. And they lost the game for other reasons, but certainly that was part of it. I thought Donovan Clingan had a really nice start to this game. I don't think he had a nice finish to the game. I thought his first shift in his first quarter was like, oh, he's blocking shots. He's being gigantic at the rim. I think the Lakers kind of figured out how to manipulate him on defense so he wasn't just parked in the paint. And particularly some of their just like LeBron deliberate post up at the elbows when they run the little horn sets, or like the 2-man action. It's like they're stretching guys out. They're stretching, Klingen's guy out to the corners, and making him, not be in the strong side corner. So he's like he can't be like in the true natural helper spot because he has some other responsibilities. Or they were like baiting a switch. They were setting a really high screen and kind of snaking a dribble, so Klingen has to show to prevent that, to prevent the drive, and then say, okay, haha, we caught you on a switch, and then like attacking him a little bit. And I think he didn't do a good job of like avoiding that switch a little bit. It's what some coaches call a late switch, where it's like the scheme isn't to switch, but you end up having to switch because of the way the way that the offensive players kind of coaxed you into it. Some late switch stuff. I didn't think he was very good. I thought Rob was better than him. And then the final, the end of this game, the final 4 minutes, they basically played with no bigs. Like both teams, the Lakers went small, and the Blazers said we can't match him and go small, and they closed with Scoot and Ants and Denny too, and Jeremy Grant. I want to talk about Jeremy Grant a little bit and Anfernee Simons a little bit, because I get it. And then I just don't get it at all. Let's talk about the duality of understanding to close the show, because some of it makes sense, but then also none of it really does. Join me in that third segment. First, though, let's talk FanDuel, America's #1 sports book and official sports betting partner of the NBA, because when an NBA game tips off, that action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss tip-off, or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, or for my haters, a fourth quarter collapse, you can stay in the action. If you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. So FanDuel's always going to have your sort of standard betting wagering action if you want to bet on, over-unders and money lines and all your pregame action. But what FanDuel wants you to know is that if you miss any of that, you can still get in on the action right there on the app. Plus, they got live play-by-play and updating stats, so you can beat up to the second rate wager. And right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You're still listening to Locked On Blazers. Jeremy Grant went 1 of 12. He had 3 points. He was 1 of 5 from 3. Missed his only free throws. Had 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and ended up fouling out. He did have 3 steals, but he committed 2 turnovers, including a crucial one with 2.5 minutes left in a 4-point game. He was bad on offense. Bad. Anfernee Simons was 3 of 13, including 0 of 6 from the 3-point range, 2 of 5 from the foul line. He finished with 8 points, 7 assists, and just 1 turnover. Combined, Anfernee Simons and Jeremy Grant had 11 points on 4 of 25 shooting. Combined, they scored 11 points and missed 14 field goals. They were bad on offense. Anfernee Simons is not a good defensive player. When he's pretty bad on offense, particularly shooting, like he wasn't terrible as a playmaker. He was 7 assists and a turnover. It's not a terrible playmaking game, although I think judging playmaking by assists is maybe missing the point a little bit, because playmaking is more than assists. It's actually passes that lead to other things. But I don't think he had a terrible floor game. He just shot bricks, and his value is shooting. His value is scoring. The way he adds positive value to a team is making shots. Like, what makes Anfernee Simons good when he's good is that he makes shots off the bounce. That is what his value is. He can dribble into his own offense, and because he can dribble into his own offense, particularly off the dribble threes, he's scary. And then you get get him off the ball a little bit, and he adds some of that gravity there. But when he misses shots, he's not bringing a lot of positivity to the table. Jeremy Grant, I think for his part, played a pretty competitive defensive game, but he was horrendous on offense, and his decision-making was very, very bad. And I think it's important to point out this when talking about these two gentlemen and singling them out. There were other dudes who struggled. Shaedon Sharpe was 4 of 11, and the Blazers lost his minutes by 20. They got smoked in his minutes. They was a team low minus 20 plus minus. Single game plus minus, pretty meaningless. But like he checked in the first quarter, and his first 2 touches, he turned it over twice. It's just like immediately, this is not going to be a good Shea game. And he ended up, he made his threes at least, but 1 of 4 inside the arc, and just like it generally was not good. This wasn't a particularly impressive Scoot Henderson game. He finished with 12 points on 4 of 13 shooting, 2 of 8 from 3. I feel like one of the threes he made was like pure, and then I didn't feel great about necessarily the other ones. He finished with 5 assists to go with 3 turnovers. Scoot was kind of fine. I don't think Scoot was bad. I wouldn't describe him as bad. I think Shaedon Sharpe was bad. I think Anfernee Simons was bad. I think Jeremy Grant was bad. I kind of get why Jeremy Grant's in the game. I'm not like, here's how I feel about it. The logic behind why the coach is playing him is not hard to parse. They like Jeremy Grant's size and strength guarding LeBron James. It allowed Toumani and Denny to not have that entire responsibility and them to be in help positions to provide double team and switching when they ran pick and roll actions. The other options when you are with the Blazers' current situation would be playing either Shaedon Sharpe or Scoot Henderson in those Jeremy Grant minutes. And if you do that, you're putting either 2 small guards on the court at the same time in Simons and Scoot, or a guy who's been a pretty negative defender in Shaedon Sharpe throughout his career, and particularly this season. And the coach, in a game that was pretty close, and they needed physicality, and the Blazers were very physical in this game. I thought they, while they got a really bad whistle in the final 3 minutes, I thought the Blazers got a decent whistle throughout the game, allowing them to be pretty physical, and that's, sometimes you take the good with the bad. I'm not really a referee whiner. That's not why the Blazers lost. They lost because Jeremy Grant ran over someone on a 3-on-1 fast break. And Anfernee Simons bricked a 3 out of on a baseline out of bounds play shortly thereafter. And then they got some tough calls. And they gave an offensive rebound. And then they got some tough calls. But, like, if you were to take Jeremy Grant out of this game, he played 30 minutes. Toumani played 38. Denny Avdija played 34. Hard to play them many more minutes and have it be reasonable. I don't think you could play 2 and Denny much more than they played tonight. Maybe you could play Denny another minute and a half, right? You could get him up to 37. But like you don't want to. You want them to play 34, 35. That's a totally reasonable big minute game from a starter, right? So if you're talking about getting Jeremy Grant the heck up off the floor because he just stinking in this game, it's like, why he's still in the game? You're talking about putting Shaedon Sharpe in the game, and if you put Shaedon Sharpe in the game, you're probably going to get blasted on defense. It's probably going to be bad. But my argument would be this. In the grand scheme of where the Blazers are headed, would you rather lose a game because Shaedon Sharpe can't guard or because Jeremy Grant can't make a 2-pointer to save his life? I know what I would do. It's just so frustrating. Like in the scheme of where they are, they're like a team that's a lottery-bound team that's been in the top 7 of the lottery for the last 3 years, and they're just kind of like, yeah, you know what? Shaedon Sharpe's not good enough to play in crunch time, and they're right. That's true. He would be worse in this situation. He'd be worse if he got on the court. But to what end? Like what is it exactly accomplishing to have Jeremy Grant basically not be able to make a 2-pointer for closing in on 60 games? Because he's a little more competitive on defense and it makes the coach feel more comfortable. Great. That's how coaches often make decisions based on their comfort. This is why the front office needed to make some decisions in order to take shorten the decision tree or make some freaking mandates. It's just really hard to stomach as like someone who either is appreciating the big picture or maybe like a fan from like a deep fan perspective. It's like, why watch Jeremy Grant fail when I could watch Shaedon Sharpe fail? I'm not even suggesting he would be better. I'm fully admitting Shaedon Sharpe would be worse. But if this is the choice, why this? Heck, it doesn't have to be Sharpe. You could play the 2 guards together. You could play, They wanted to close small, but you could have closed with Rob Williams and say, come what may. You could have closed with Don McCling and say, come what may. You could have, it's just perplexing. It's not perplexing. it's just pretty frustrating. It's pretty frustrating. This is not the way you want to lose from a fan perspective, from a big picture perspective. The reason that you lose is not because your oldest player can't make a damn shot and is making terrible decisions. If someone's going to fail because of terrible choices, have that person be a 21-year-old who's going to be, in theory, part of the bigger picture. To me, that seems like the obvious choice. Simons, he wasn't as bad as Jeremy Grant, but you could say the same thing at times. I don't think necessarily Ant was the issue here. This was a bad Jeremy game, and he's the choice to make. But you could apply the same logic. When every Simons is stinking it up, why not have Scoop be the one who stinks it up, right? Like if Ant is getting hunted just endlessly on pick and rolls, and Scoop was in the game at the end, so this is it's kind of a different conversation, but it's but the logic would apply in the future. And I think that's where I'm at with this. It's just like, if you're going to lose with this team at this time of year, this is the dumbest way to do it. This is the way that makes it it's not a defensible position, because what is gained? You know what's gained is it's probably giving you the best chance to win in theory, because you have more positive defensive possessions. And then with 2.5 minutes left, dude doesn't make a pass and runs somebody over. It's just, I like Jeremy Grant as a dude. I think he's a cool guy. They've walked down this path, front office and coach together. Front office by not making moves, either unwilling or unable, and coach by just like coaching the way sometimes the coaches do. And because of the Blazers situation, it's like, Chauncey Billups is doing what he thinks is best, and what he thinks is best is maybe not doesn't have the same bigger picture view as you might want. Okay, I mentioned I was going to talk about this, so I'll talk about it for 15 seconds to close the show. The Blazers' next 4 games are against the Charlotte Hornets at home on Saturday, and then they begin a pretty daunting 7-game road trip, but the first 3 games of that road trip, not as daunting as you might think, at Utah, at Washington, at Brooklyn. This is the softest part of the Blazers' schedule remaining. They get the Wizards again in Portland, but it's not this stretch. And obviously these are road games. They're not super easy, but they're not gimmies. But Charlotte, Utah, Washington, Brooklyn teams below them in the standings. The only stretch where they'll play 4 teams in a row for the remainder of the season, obviously, based on the Blazers' own record. The softest part of their season remaining. If things go south here, and they go 1-3, there is no reason to attempt to win games for the remainder of the year. There is basically no reason. If they rip off some wins here and they beat these lottery teams, then having a conversation about what you want to do competitively can happen. But if they face plant in these next 4 and they go 1-3 or worse, it's time to call it. Because you've shown what you are, right? Because you've shown what you are, obviously without DeAndre Ayton, but you've shown what you are. I think this is these are some look in the mirror games. If the Blazers are serious about being competitive through game 82 and they dominate these teams, sure. But if it doesn't go right, I think certainly we'll have that conversation right here on this podcast about what are the goals? And we'll see what if the Blazers share any views that we may or may not have. Obviously, we're a week away from the beginning of that trip. The back half of that 7-game trip we'll talk about later is brutal. It's brutal. They played Cleveland and Boston and Oklahoma City with a back to the only bad team they played during that stretch is Philly, and it's the second night of a back-to-back. Oh, tough. That's going to do it for today's show. That's going to do it for a week of shows. I appreciate you listening. Come back for next week. We'll do 5 more of these wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.